Do you have moments where you feel in your spirit that that God is telling you something, but you overthink it? Let's talk about it. Welcome to Brion's Diary, where we talk about life. We are healing, growing, building our confidence and self-esteem. This week, I learned a valuable lesson. This lesson, I felt like God has been trying to teach me and show me for a very long time. In the past, I somehow end up going against what God told me or showed me, and things would blow up in my face. So now, as I reflect back on a lot of situations that I've been in where I either got my feelings hurt or I'd be disappointed in myself for my behaviors, I'm using that to see how I can do differently. And most of it was that I didn't consult with God first. I didn't consult with Him on any of my decisions. So today I want to talk about trusting God. This is the Moving Forward series, so it is important for us, this is an important topic to talk about because I realize that that's the only way that I'm going to continue to move forward and not bring my past baggage along with me. God has done entirely too much work in me and helped me overcome too much for me to be, for me to be out here sabotaging my blessings, happiness, and joy. I refuse to be bitter or a negative person out here because of my past. So when I say trust God, I mean trusting that even though I made bad decisions, overlooked what God told me, or allowed the enemy to come in and confuse me sometimes, God is still going to guide me onto the correct path. So this is important to me because I'm still working on my trust issues. And when I'm talking about trust issues, I'm not necessarily always talking about other people. I'm now learning to trust myself because I didn't trust myself. Because I have made a lot of bad decisions and mistakes, I'm learning to trust myself honestly by surrendering and literally putting my everything into God's hand. By putting everything into God's hand. And I'm tired. I literally cannot carry any more burdens that are not mine. I can't even carry the burdens that are mine. They got too heavy and I had no choice but to just trust God and allow Him to carry them for me. So I'm getting into my soft girl era through God. It's because I'm still learning to fully trust myself that I have to consult with God about everything first, like I stated. And I'm not going to be able to trust anybody else until I can trust God and myself. So much that has happened in my life that everything made me run to God. It's to the point that the moment I start to get distance from God or try to go backwards, nothing is going right in my life. So it's to a place now where I can't go backwards. I can't choose what I used to choose because it doesn't work out for me. So I got tired of letting my thoughts get the best of me. I got tired of self-sabotaging. It feels good to wake up each day wanting to look good and take care of myself. It feels good to wake up and not feel depressed. It feels good to be balanced. It feels good to wake up to a clear mind. I don't want to walk around feeling like the world is out to get me. So I'm just on this journey of talking to God about everything, making God my best friend. So even when I have negative thoughts about something, instead of thinking the worst and making it about me, I'm learning to just pray for people, the situation, or whatever is on my mind. Put it in God's hand and allow Him to help me or help whomever I'm praying for, even if something was going on, and I'm feeling those negative thoughts. Trust God that He has got it handled. I can trust that God is always there, and that there has been so many days where I beat myself up. And I told y'all this before, where I felt like I was making these YouTube videos and out here telling people things, and I felt like I wasn't practicing what I preach. Or I learned so many lessons and the same things will come in front of me and I don't see it. I don't see when I get tested. And as I said earlier, learning to not overthink and just consult with God about everything. Trust that even though I didn't make the right decisions, in the past, this time I'm allowing God to guide me on my decisions each time. I will make, in being that I trust Him and allow Him to guide me, I will make the best decision for me. Again, when you have a relationship with God and God, exactly what He told you, Most times when something is dropped in your spirit, you just gotta believe it the first time. The first thing we normally do is doubt. I'm not saying everybody, but most. But stop doubting what we know God has told us. Don't question it or second guess it. I've learned to ask God for confirmation. I've learned that confirmation usually comes, it can come from a phone call. God has allowed that, God has dropped in that person's spirit to call me and speak on what I've been asking for confirmation for. Sometimes he dropped a chapter of the Bible in my spirit, and if I go and listen to him and I go read that verse or that chapter, it gives me the confirmation I'm looking for. Or I may come across a video while scrolling on TikTok, Facebook, whatever. So sort through those thoughts and feelings. Ask yourself, do they match up with God's words and what God has told you? And if they are not what God has told you or aligned with God's words, let it go. Like, let it flow. I've learned this from 2 people God placed in my life that has been helping me on my journey. So next, when he gives you clarity, when God does give you clarity, because he will, believe it the first time, like I said, and don't sit there and think of different scenarios or again question it to the point where you make it more than what it is, to where you confuse yourself. Because usually that confusion isn't coming from you, it's coming from the enemy. Just go with the flow and trust what God tells you. Stick to it. So, and ask for that confirmation. If you ask for continued confirmation, he's going to give it to you. Ask God for peace and let him deal with whatever. I also learned that a lot of me not trusting myself tied into people pleasing. I go against what I feel or what God told me, because I'm thinking about the next person's feelings. How would they react? Are they going to be mad at me? Are they going to feel some type of way about me? Are they going to talk about me? Anything. I don't want to hurt their feelings. But when you get to that place where, when you get to that place where your chest is hurting, you're worried, you're stressed, you are experiencing anxiety, and overthinking starts to affect your health, you get to a place where you just have to choose yourself and listen to God. I just felt like it just had to stop. I'm too young for it. Donna's journey is more about me loving myself enough at this point in time to say my mental health is more important, my peace is more important, and I am important. Now, this has been a process, and it's still an ongoing process for me. I'm not saying that I'm completely there yet. I've been fasting and praying for God to help me to stop people pleasing, and right after I did that prayer and fasting, like, so many different situations and scenarios were placed in front of me where I was tested, y'all, and challenged. One of my friends, and what I was doing, I was talking with my friends about it, and she basically said, well, your prayers are being answered. And I was like, oh, I get it now. God is helping me to not people please. He's teaching me to say no and choose myself. So yeah, I was thankful that he answered my prayers, and he answered them that quickly. So I'm going to tell y'all another way in which God revealed to me, how he warns me or gives me signs before I put myself in bad situations as well. There has been times where God guided me to Proverbs chapter 6. Proverbs chapter 6 talks about warning against folly. If y'all want to know what warning against folly is and what chapter 6 is about, it's about not taking on other people's burdens. Sometimes you can take on other people's burdens without realizing it. You thinking you're helping, you're thinking you're being there for someone, but you're absorbing what they are going through, and you're taking on as your own, and now you have to deal with that. So it's a thing where if God tells you no, God will place it in your spirit when to help someone. But if not, sometimes we have things that we got to deal with in ourselves, and we do not have the capacity to help others in that moment. So don't do it. So I know God is working on me with that, and he had me to spend my birthday by myself a few weeks back. I know it may seem lame, but I actually had a great birthday. It's not like that was my first time going out by myself, but like that was my first time spending my birthday alone, me just celebrating me, and not have others do it. It taught me that I can validate myself. I can be complete and whole within myself. Now, again, I'm not going to sit here and tell y'all that I'm free of people pleasing, but what I'm saying is now I'm in that process where God is freeing me from that. That is being done by being uncomfortable, choosing differently, saying no even though it hurts, even though it hurts me to say it, even if it's scary for me to say it. And then asking God to give me peace with that decision, giving me peace with standing on that decision. I'm learning now to not be so passive aggressive, which I still can be sometimes because I don't want to hurt people's feelings. I don't want people mad at me. And so I'm working on that. I learned that if I say no, that is just a boundary. Again, ask for peace and keep moving forward. Philippians 4:7, sorry for the airplane, y'all. Philippians 4:7 says, "And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus." And I'll always throw Matthew 11:28 in here to y'all. Cast your burdens onto God, and He will give you rest. So even though I may not understand why God has told me to say no to certain things or to not go certain places, He'll give me peace with that no. And more than likely, that has guarded my heart and mind from being hurt or for me to be in my feelings or for me going backwards to a mindset that He has removed me from. So I was making life so hard and difficult for myself. And for what? When I can just trust that God has it handled. I can trust that God sees things that I don't see and He's sparing me from it. And that I made the right decision by trusting God. Check yourself in the different ways that you may be people pleasing because it's more common than you think. I didn't realize that, I had to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Sorry for the noise. I told you about this. So, trust God. Trust what He drops in your spirit. Trust that even though it may hurt, even though it may seem like, even though you may question it, you just got to trust God because at the end of the day, you don't know what He's saving you from. You don't know what He's sparing you from. You don't know how much He's protecting you, or you don't even know how much better He has for you because God sees your future. We can't see that. All we can do is stay present. So the only thing you can do is just really trust God. Trust Him. He hears what you don't hear. He sees what you can't see, and He knows what you don't know. So just trust Him. No matter what it may make you look like, place in His hands, ask God to give you that peace. Like even today, while I'm saying trusting God, I went somewhere today. I got some disappointing news. I wanted to get discouraged, but what I did, anytime I get discouraged, I just trust God. I came out here and I recorded it, and I still said I'm going to do God's work despite that discouragement. Because why? God is maybe protecting me from something. He's not telling me no. He's just saying not right now. But who's to say it will cause an issue for me later down the line? God knows best. It's nothing like the peace that God places on you. So with that being said, remember, healing isn't linear. It is a journey. And here at Bryan's Diary, we are healing together. I love y'all so much. See you next week. Bye. Mwah.